Virginia also just wanted to do it too, right? Is she here? Oh, good.
case, we have the case with the indictment number 2300241. Okay, are you ready to proceed?
Yes, sir.
All right, gentlemen, each of you appear to have retained counsel. I'm going to go down the line of the attorneys. Mr. Massey, are you prepared to arraign your client?
I am, Your Honor. I'd like formal arraignment by reading of the indictment in her plea of not guilty and ask for a full report.
And just for the purpose of the record, your client's name.
Defendant Boston.
And I see Mr. Stengel.
Good morning, Your Honor. Demetrius Haley is my client. He's present in the courtroom. Wait formal reading of the indictment. Enter it not guilty plea. For a second.
Mr. Perry.
Good morning, Your Honor. John Perry on behalf of Mr. Tadarius Bean. At this time, we waive the formal reading of the indictment, offer the court a plea of not guilty.
Mr. Summers, I see you back there.
Yes, Your Honor. On behalf of my client, Justin Smith, Charles Summers, we waive formal reading of the indictment and enter a plea of not guilty on behalf of Mr. Smith.
Mr. Ballin.
Morning, Judge. On behalf of Mr. Mills, we waive formal reading of the indictment, enter a not guilty plea.
Gentlemen, each of your attorneys have entered pleas of not guilty on your behalf. Understand that despite everyone's best effort, this case may take some time. Your attorneys are going to be receiving the discovery. Depending on how voluminous the discovery is, it may take some time for the state to collect it all, to turn it over to your attorneys. For your attorneys to review that discovery, to prepare their motions and prepare their case. So be patient. Work with your attorneys, cooperate with them, meet with them, go over the discovery. Make sure that if there are any delays, that these delays aren't on account of any of your actions. To those also in attendance, as I've explained to the defendants, this case can take some time. So we do ask for your patience, your continued patience, your continued civility in this case. We understand that there may be some high emotions in this case, but we ask that you continue to be patient with us. Everyone involved wants this case to be concluded as quickly as possible, but it's important for you all to understand that the state of Tennessee, as well as each one of these defendants, have an absolute right to a fair trial, and I will not allow any behavior that could jeopardize that right. So with that being said, we thank you all for being present. State, understanding that there may be some discovery that needs to be collected, we are going to continue this case out a little bit further to make sure that the discovery is concluded. We're going to reset this matter until May 1st, 9 a.m. State, is there anything else?
Your Honor, the only other thing on behalf of the state is I have a protective order as to each of the defendants to allow certain digital discovery video evidence to be provided.
Any objection by any of the counsel?
No objection, Your Honor.
No objection, Your Honor.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Ms. Massey, is there anything else on behalf of your client?
No, Your Honor. We did file our motion for discovery this morning.
All right, Mr. Ballin, anything on behalf of your client?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Perry?
No, Your Honor, but we did file a motion for bill of particulars pursuant to Rule 7C, Tennessee Rules of Criminal Procedure.
Mr. Stengel? anything on
Nothing
behalf-
further this morning, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Summers?
Nothing further on behalf of Mr. Smith this morning, Your Honor.
All right, gentlemen, we will see you back here May 1st on that date. And we will now excuse the defendants and their defense counsel. We're asking everyone else in the courtroom to remain in the courtroom, remain seated until you're excused.
And with regard to everybody else, I would let the court know that the family is here. Just want to acknowledge that.
Thank you. You all are excused.
Thank you, Your Honor.
give us just a few minutes. We're waiting for a couple of the media representatives to set up. Stephanie. I just said no. Okay. Do we have everybody? Okay. Is everyone ready?
Yeah, we're ready.
Yes, we're ready.
Okay. Good morning. I'm Attorney Ben Crump, along with Attorney Tony Raminucci, Judge Ernestine Doyce, and Attorney Van Turner, who's also the president of the NAACP chapter here in Memphis, Tennessee. Kareem Ali, my investigator, and our legal team. We have the honor of representing the family of Tyre Nichols. Present with us is his family members, in particularly his mother, Rovon Wells, and his father, Rodney Wells, who will give very brief statements this morning in the aftermath of the arraignment of the 5 officers that have been indicted for the murder of Tyre Nichols. Also, it's important to note that this was very emotional, and there were a lot of things that were not said in the courtroom today in the proceeding, but it was a very informative day as we move closer to justice. And our legal team and the family of Tyre Nichols wish to express gratitude to District Attorney Steve Mulroy, Paul Hagerman, and the entire District Attorney's team who is charged with prosecuting this matter on behalf of Tyre Nichols, as they do with every citizen in this jurisdiction. We are again relieved that they have given information to try to dispel some of these rumors and innuendo that we keep being bombarded about, that somehow this was something personal. No, we are aware that there were photographs that were taken and none of them were sent to all of these rumors that are out there in the social media world. The family is dealing with enough grieving the death of Tyre and their brave fight for justice than to have to deal with all these salacious rumors. I know in George Floyd they had to deal with them talking about Chauvin knew somebody who George Floyd knew, and that was the reason he kept his knee on his neck. And then in Botham Jean's case, who was killed in the apartment by the white policewoman, they alleged that they were having some kind of affair, which all were bogus and untrue. And just like with Tyre Nichols, all these rumors that are circulating are bogus and untrue, because we have the text messages. The prosecutors have been able to verify exactly who those pictures were sent to. And so what we want to remain laser focused on is getting justice for Tyre Nichols and being able to define the legacy of Tyre Nichols. And the people who are most appropriate to do that is his mother and their family. So you're going to hear from Rodney Wells, and then we're going to introduce Miss Rovon Wells to talk about how they felt and why they had to be here today for this arraignment of the former Memphis police officers who are charged with murdering Tyre Nichols. And I think it's important to note that even though we want everybody to get due process, we are champions for equal justice and due process. But as Police Chief Davis said, Judge Doyce, it's important that we take swift action. It's important that we move swiftly towards justice. So we don't want there to be any unnecessary delays in prosecuting this case with respect to everybody having their day in court. Those officers get to have their day in court, but my guy, Rovon Wells and Rodney Wells, get to have their day in court, and we don't want this to be forever. We got video. When people in our community do something on video, it don't take a long time to prosecute them, right, Attorney Turner?
That's right.
It don't take a long time. And so first you will hear from Mr. Rodney Wells, the father of Tyre Nichols.
Hi everybody, my name is Rodney Wells. I had to be here today to make sure that justice gets done for our son. This is a glorious day. This is the beginning of the process. So the statement's going to be very short, and I'm just glad to be here. Our family's glad to be here, and I appreciate everybody coming out.
Thank you, Mr. Wells. And now you will hear from Tyre's mother, Miss Rovon Wells.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being here. As my husband stated, this is the beginning of the process. We're going to be here at every court date so that they can know that we're here. They need to, I don't know, I feel, it's funny because I feel very numb right now. I feel very numb, and I'm waiting for this nightmare, basically, that I'm going through right now. I'm waiting for somebody to wake me up, right? I'm really waiting for somebody to wake me up. But I also know that's not going to happen, okay? I know my son is gone. I know I'll never see him again. But we have to start this process of justice right now. And I want each and every one of those police officers to be able to look me in the face. They haven't done that yet. They couldn't even do that today. They didn't even have the courage to look at me in my face after what they did to my son. So they're gonna see me at every court date, everyone.
Exactly.
And until we get justice for my son.
Amen. Hello.
And so, yes.
And note the choice of words that Rovon used. As she told Judge Dorsey and us, they didn't have the courage to look me in my face. Not dignity to look me in my face, because when you look at the video, there was no dignity there. But they didn't even have the courage to look at her in her face, and that's what she came to the courtroom to see today. Them look her in her face, eye to eye. How could you do this to my son?
And they didn't.
Okay.
What did you
Hold,
think?
hold, no. Wait. Are you finished?
Yes.
Okay. All right. We'll take a few questions.
What did you think when you heard the words "not guilty"?
Well, sir, they're going to say that. You know, that's a procedure that everyone's going to say and do. I'm going to leave it up to the district attorney's office and to get them prosecuted and everything, and then they'll find them not guilty. They'll find them guilty, I should say. So them saying they're not guilty, that's a preliminary thing. Everybody's going to say that. And I was expecting it, so it wasn't nothing new.
Okay. Judge Doyle's going to make some remarks before we continue the questions. Judge Doyle says,
retired Judge Ernestine Hunt Dorsett, and let's not get me out of place, because I want you to know that the process is the process, and I'm about transparency, so that's the first thing I had to tell you. I was retired, but it's good to see the country and the state still interested in what's happening in our community, and especially in the prosecution of this case, because this case is a case that's pretty much going to be a cornerstone. You know, when the builders start rejecting stones, but this is going to be a cornerstone that the builders would not be able to reject. So that is what I see, and
the process is. Yeah.
Can you lay out what you think the next year will be in terms of this case? So the next hearing is in May, and then what is the next?
Well,
I can only do it. I mean, I've been a trial lawyer, and I can tell you the process. It's not as swift. It's not as swift as the indictment, but the indictment was the most important thing to get the wheels of justice to truly roll. And so this is going to be processed, and it's not necessarily going to be held up by trying to slow the process. It's just how time is. And so most criminal cases don't come to trial, and I'm assuming this is going to go to trial. That can't tell you how long, but it's not going to be at the end of this year.
Steve, we know, like in George Floyd's case and Ahmaud Arbery's case, that there may be federal charges brought here, and so we want there to be full justice, and so as we look at the process on the state, we understand, just like in George Floyd, there may be federal charges contemplated that may be announced, and then they will take a parallel course. But we know in George Floyd's tragic killing that those officers were prosecuted within the year.
Yeah.
So the hope is that we have a blueprint going forward on all these tragedies. Before we take any other questions, Attorney Van Turner, would you like to give a remark?
Yeah. We again want to thank Ms. Robon Wells for her courage, Mr. Rodney Wells for his courage. It takes a lot to sit there in the courtroom and to face individuals who took actions that they did not have to take. Nothing that evening that we saw, that you saw, provoked them to do what they did to Tyre Nichols. And here we have a family, we have a son that's lost a father, and we just, we feel their pain, and we're going to be here with them throughout the way. But let's also understand that this case is going to be a landmark decision, but it also needs to lead to policy. How do we stop this from happening again? The state needs to pass the Tyre Nichols Police Reform Act.
Amen.
We need the governor to sign the bill. The governor, Bill Lee, needs to stand up for this family. We want the thoughts, we want the prayers, but we want action.
Amen.
We want this bill passed right now. The Tyre Nichols Police Reform Act. We want them to withdraw the bill to get rid of clerk. The Citizen Law Enforcement Review Board is what we have. That's the citizens' eyes over law enforcement. The police can't continue to police themselves.
Yes.
So if we are really serious about justice for Tyre, we want to make sure that there's a swift prosecution and that these guys serve the time for what they did, and we want to make sure that there's swift action at the Tennessee legislature with passing this bill, and we want them to immediately withdraw the bill that would undo clerk right now, today.
Yes.
We want them to withdraw that bill because that's the citizens' eyes over law enforcement. We're going to continue to pray for this family, and we're going to continue to say justice for Tyre.
Justice for Tyre.
Thank you so much, President Turner, for your leadership. You good?
I'm good.
Okay.
Ms. Ravon, since January 7th, your life has been completely upended. Your family's been scrutinized. The whole world has been watching your family. But you've responded with grace and compassion that you owe no one. So I wanted to ask you, what's holding you together right now, and what is sustaining both you and Mr. Wells?
The only thing I can tell you is the prayer. I have people reached out to me from all over the world. I have received sympathy cards from people that I don't even know. People are praying for our family. God is what's holding us up. And the fact that, again, I have to always keep in mind that my son was sacrificed for the greater good. That's what's holding me up, and that's what's keeping me together. And the fact that I do have 3 other children that I have to stay strong for. Because if I break down, then they're going to break down. So me being a mother, I have to stay as strong as I can for my other children.
Amen. Yes, ma'am. But then we'll come to you. Certainly, the video speaks for itself.
Mr. Crump, you mentioned the photographs that were taken from the scene. Police Chief Davis has said they've been shared with other people. You said the prosecution talked to you about those photographs. Do you know who those photographs were shared with?
Apparently, this isn't the first time that particular officer has done this, but we just wanted to dispel the rumors that the family were being bombarded with, and they didn't want to have to deal with that additional trauma and drama. So we want to clear that up once and for all.
Do you know who they were?
We do not, but they know. Yeah.
Can you elaborate on the findings of your internal or independent autopsy results, specifically related to any substances being in Tyre's body that those officers alluded to on that video?
No, we don't have the toxicology yet, but we feel confident that Tyre was not under any kind of intoxication or anything like that. You know, Miss Ravon and Rodney, they know Tyre and what kind of person he was. Who Tyre was what you saw in that video. While everybody else was escalating it, using excessive force, Tyre was de-escalating, trying to do everything in his power to remain calm. That's who Tyre Nichols was.
Exactly. Actually, that also, piggybacking off of that, we know that the incident report that was authored that night does not line up exactly with reality. One of those quotes from that report says that the officers came in contact with you, that you thought your son's drink might have been spiked. Was that a fabrication?
Taken out of context.
It was something taken out of context.
And so the prosecutor will deal with all of that.
Yeah, I can't go any further with it, but it was taken out of context.
Completely out of context. Completely taken out of context. We think that from the beginning it was a conspiracy to cover up this murder.
Yes.
Ben, can I ask?
The city's going to share. The city has said that it's going to release more video and recordings. Are they going to offer you to see those first?
Yes, they did say that. We don't know when, but they said they would, out of respect for the family, they would let them see and hear the videos.
Ben, should Preston Hemphill, the 6th officer who was at the scene when Tyre was first stopped, should he face charges?
Well, certainly Ms. Ravon Wells is asking that question, and so it is our hope that every officer who had anything to do with the death of her son will be held accountable, and we will leave that for the prosecutors.
Mr. Crump, what is the timing of any civil litigation against the city of Memphis?
Well, we're trying to get the completed autopsy report in our hands, but we will be seeking full justice for Tyre Nichols. That is criminal culpability, civil accountability, and as my co-counsel Van Turner said, policy. We want legislative action, because getting justice for Tyre isn't about just having accountability of these officers. It's about trying to prevent anybody else from being killed in this manner. One last question, ma'am.
Mr. Crump, you said that you saw the text that went along with the pictures. Can you tell us?
No, I didn't see the text. They told us about the text, and they told us that all of this stuff that is rampant out there on social media is completely untrue. It's bogus, and they know that the text messages who they went to had nothing to do with all this stuff that you all have been hearing on social media, and some of you have reported. And the only reason that they thought it was important, and I think it's important to speak to it, so they will quit harassing the family over this ancillary matter. Has nothing to do with the reason why this happened to Tyre Nichols. This Scorpion unit had a pattern and practice of doing this to black people in Memphis. That's it. You don't need to go no further than that. We talk about these special police units or these proactive policing, and they do this stuff in marginalized communities of color, where they trample on the constitutional rights and human rights of black and brown citizens. They don't do that in the white communities to white citizens. That is why Tyre Nichols was killed, because of this excessive force policing of black citizens. Thank you.
Mr. Crump, I live in the city of Memphis. A lot of Memphians are concerned that these officers are still on the street. A lot of these officers are still on the street. I mean, they've been rearranged. What do you? Should the city of Memphis be concerned?
Well, I think there should be a thorough investigation on every aspect of